support your rompering.
I think that you would. I have always considered you a pro romper enthusiast.
I don't support your mustache, but I support your romper.
All right, hold on. Before we start the show, this is important. So I went to a barber, okay? A proper barber. No! No! The people must know.
From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. If you're at all a little curious about anything having to do with Nevada,
Man.
check out the Patreon.
We covered all the
I
things.
think it was full Nevada.
Damn.
Yeah. Hardcore Nevada. And now broadcasting from the churn, that guy's Dr. Jim Jobin, who
Yeah.
got a haircut. I'm Nick Tangeman.
Thank
It's
you.
time for some Pod Therapy.
We went deep dive into the geography of roads and cities, size and population, legal issues and logistics concerning water, agriculture, and
Conservation.
fireworks and conservation.
Uh,
This is pretty deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a lot.
We covered a lot of ground,
I'm really
people.
proud of us,
Yeah.
guys. Like this is I think this is the highest brow Patreon we've ever produced. This was really good.
Also, I only said motherfucker like 5 times.
Only, yeah, I would say on the low end.
That's pretty clean.
That was
I don't
very
think we even
clean.
need the explicit tag.
Yeah, I know. We're
Yeah.
fine. We'll just cruise. But yeah, Jacob's
Yeah,
PowerPoint.
share this with your kids.
Yeah. You know what? Let's remove the tag.
Share this with your motherfucking kids.
Yeah, 235 episodes in. Now we go clean. We're just gonna pivot. So I went to a barber, okay, and it was a professional barber, which I haven't been to a barber in like I don't know 15 years. Like,
cuts
Where do you
Hair.
usually go?
I like sport clips. I just
Oh,
get
okay.
a trim, that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Oh, that's fine.
So Father's Day.
I was really
all
hoping
that
you were going to be
stuff.
like, I use a Floby.
I use a Flowbee and a bowl. And so like I was like, you know
The
what?
suck
I'm
cuts.
gonna
Yeah,
like it sucks and it cuts. So I was like, I really want to do this because I want everyone's a good haircut, but I also really wanted some facial hair advice and like to do it properly because I've never tried to do it properly. All right. So I went to the barber.
Shave. That was
I
the
get there.
advice.
As soon as I sit down, my barber, who is a 70-year-old woman named Gretel,
Great.
and she is glorious. Like, this is the best human I've ever met.
I mean, I got to tell you, I'm instantly mainly in the camp of Gloria here.
Yeah.
Or Gretel, rather.
Yeah, Gretel knows what she's doing. So as soon as I sit down, Gretel looks at me and she goes, "Did you get the beard and mustache package?" And I go, "No, I got the haircut, but I was hoping for some advice." And she goes, "Yeah, you're getting the beard and mustache package." So she's like, "We're going to go." And she immediately grabs the front desk lady. She goes, "Yeah, you need to upcharge him because we're doing the mustache." And I was like, "Okay." Like, she immediately leans me back and I'm like,
Gretel
I
was
didn't
a- I
consent
just-
to anything,
Gretel's
Gretel.
a smart lady.
I just imagine some kind of like she's got some kind of emergency signal, like
She breaks
Yeah,
this
yeah.
thing.
got a code blue.
Cancel my 5 o'clock. This is gonna go late. So yeah, no, she tips me
I
back.
need some clippers stat.
It was really helpful. So like, okay, you guys probably wouldn't even notice, but I was growing out my mustache and I was using the length to kind of part it sideways on both sides to kind of create
fill it
the
in.
Gomez. You know.
I did
Yeah.
notice that. It was terrible.
Okay, so then my method was about a little over a year ago.
Here's what you need to picture, everyone.
Oh,
Let me,
God.
let me just explain this to you in
Here we
terms that you
go.
can understand.
Yes.
You remember in the 90s when a lot of guys that had like kind of long hair, but it wasn't really long. Like
Yeah.
it was just past their ears.
Yeah.
And they parted it like militantly parted it right down the middle.
Yes.
And so you had the butt cut.
Yes.
And it was just like a
Matt
giant
Damon and
butt
Goodwill
on
Hunting.
everyone's
Yeah.
heads.
Yeah.
That's what Jim's mustache looked like.
Essentially, yeah,
Oh,
that was
yeah.
it. And
he
then
had grown it out to have a little bit of length on it, which
Yeah.
Jim's mustache does not grow. Like
it's not thick.
Yeah. Like the hair on my palms grows faster than the hair on Jim's upper lip.
So my theory of the case for a long time was, okay, in order to get some kind of volume there, I used a product.
When was the last time you had trimmed your mustache?
Well, I would only ever trim the very edges.
That's what I thought.
And so I'd let it grow and I'd just part it sideways
Yeah.
and then I would trim the edges. So for a long time, I was styling it with the mustache wax.
Right.
That was how I would control it. But then as it dried and throughout the day, the mustache wax would lose its hold and then it would get stringy and it would kind of spaghetti into different directions. And that was always pretty rough. So I finally was like, I want a barber to tell me what the hell I'm supposed to do with this.
Shave
right?
it off.
So she sits me down. Immediately, she brushes it out and she just trims it short. And she's like, that's what we're going to do. You trim this down And then she's like, you just keep it at about this length. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, no, I don't have enough, like, volume. And she's like, it's fine. You have a thin mustache. It's not that big of a deal. Like, this is a normal thing. And so,
Have people been teasing you? Have people been teasing you?
Who told you this, Jimmy?
Who hurt you?
So then she also did, it's starting to grow back, but she also did, you could see under my chin, like the V, like she gave me like the actual like line that you're supposed to have on your beard. So she cut away like the neck beard and like just did the chin strap.
Yeah.
And so clean that up too.
I mean, I will say
was
it
great.
looks.
Move the microphone. Let me
Okay.
get a good look here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I can't say that it looks good, but I will say relative to what it was before, it's marvelous.
Thank you. That's what I'm going for. Okay.
Relatively
Progress,
marvelous.
not perfection.
Highest compliment you're going to get.
That's
from me.
I'm going to walk
Relatively
away.
marvelous.
I'll walk away with the win. No further questions, Your Honor.
Considering how
We're
ugly
good.
you are,
Thank you.
that looks pretty good.
I'll take the
Yeah.
win. Yeah, I'll take this. This is great. You
I
went
mean-
up 0.5%.
On the
A win's a win.
downside, the facial hair looks terrible.
Okay.
On the
okay.
upside,
Yeah.
it does hide part of your face.
There's right. There's a
would it-
percentage that's not visible.
Have you ever thought about doing a different hairstyle?
We've been over this, man. Like I can only do this. Like this is it. And then back in the day, at one
If you
point
thought
I
about
went
growing it
straight
out really
back.
long and just combing it all straight forward so we
And then-
can't see your face
yeah,
at all.
Just bangs all the way down to the nose. and
like
just
cousin
go
it.
emo
You could be the
goth.
cousin it of therapists.
Yeah, I've tried. I used to do like the little forward thing, like where it's like a little like low mound in the middle, and then it just kind of ducks
a
into
faux
the front.
hawk.
Yeah, that. A
Yeah,
long
yeah.
time ago I did that. Like in my 20s.
Yeah, that's a bad look on you.
I mean, when
It's
I was
a
in my
fine look on
20s,
some
I got
people.
away with
Yeah.
it.
Not on
you
you.
know, it was okay, but no, I don't.
If I
think
got
so.
away with it, you just mean that nobody punched you.
I don't.
over it.
What you look at my hair and you think there's another like obvious style I'm just not going for
Yeah,
that I
think
could
you
just
could do
go
a,
for.
yeah. I think you could do a low fade.
Okay.
I think you could buzz it really short along
On
the sides.
Oh yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, you don't have to do much with the top.
It's the
You
same
can leave
style.
the
It's just
top.
shorter, right?
Yeah, no, but it's leave the top, the length in the top.
Yeah.
You can continue
Style
to
the
pull
top the same way.
It. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd pull it more back yet.
Okay.
But then
I mean,
you
I'd
could
go ahead and
just
style it.
you could really fade it, and you can get
Just on the
almost
sides?
skin, almost down to the skin.
I've done
around the
that
side.
sometimes by accident because like they'll ask me what
With the
number I
Flowbee?
want and I never know what the numbers mean, and so I always assume a lower number means like that you're not cutting as much.
No. Lower number means lower amount of hair that you're going to be left with.
I will immediately forget that you taught me that because every time I go to get a haircut, they always go, "What's your number?" This or that, and I'm like, "I don't know," and they're like, "Oh well." Why don't we just go ahead and do something, like a 1 or something? And I'll be like,
See,
yeah, that sounds
But
conservative.
here's what you
And then they're like bicking me, and I'm like, oh.
I know that you complain about the that you've got really not curly,
It's
but,
wavy, yeah.
really
Yeah, it's
wavy
thick and
hair,
wavy.
which makes
Annoying.
it difficult to do.
It's
But the thing that
terrible.
you have, the advantage that you have, is you've got a good hairline.
Okay.
Like, so you
what do you
can-
do with that though? You just style
Oh,
your
you
hair.
can do a lot of different styles with it. See, I'm
With a
very
hairline?
limited with what I can do with mine.
Yeah,
There's a lot of stuff I can't do because my hairline goes so far back
What can
up
you
here.
do with a hairline besides grow bangs? Like, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna end up
No,
sweeping
no,
it over to the side.
No.
With the hairline.
It's like different styles. Like, have you just Google?
Hairstyles?
Yeah, just Google men's hairstyles.
I can't grow it beyond a certain length.
Well, that's
because
all
it
the time we have
becomes
today. If
untamable.
you have any questions that you'd like to write in,
I don't
write
even
into
bother with this therapy
PodTherapyGuys at
stuff.
gmail.com.
Every
here's the thing.
235
Here's the thing.
episodes, we
Here's
throw
the thing.
one away.
Here's
all
the
right?
thing. I promise the rest of the show,
Yeah.
we won't talk about hair.
There is a Patreon
Go.
level. There's a Patreon level at which I'll let Nick be my barber and he can style my
And that
hair.
Patreon level is $9 higher than it is right now.
It is not deep
All right,
pockets.
all right. No more hair talk.
Yeah. Okay.
No more
so
hair
yeah,
talk.
yeah. Oh, I noticed you just pulled
All
out a
right.
Bible. Oh wow. So you're dead serious. You're taking an oath right now.
Yep.
Wow. Swearing.
No more talk about hair.
Wow.
Go.
I admire it. First question: struggling with cutting my hair by Ben, a therapy producer. Hey folks, longtime listener.
I bought a float.
So, step 1. Hey folks, longtime listener, first time writer. I feel like I should add something snide about Jim here, but I truly respect and love you all and the work you do on this podcast. Thanks, guys. My question is about personal appearance and how to deal with making what I perceive to be a significant change to myself. I have pretty much always had long hair in a ponytail. To me, it's an attribute. Is that the right word? Did I say it right this time?
Attribute.
What did I say?
A tribute.
I thought you said in tribute. I thought you were going to say like this person's
To
long
me,
hair is
I
a
thought-
tribute to
I thought-
someone.
I thought you
To
did
me,
that
it's
intentionally.
an
Attribute.
Attribute.
Oh boy, that is never going to come out naturally. To me, it's an attribute.
By the way,
That-
you skipped saying something snide about Jim, but you did put attribute in your email.
Yeah.
A plus
That was a
plus,
dick
writer.
move.
A plus
What a
plus.
sick.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, one of these days we're going to get a letter that's just like conspicuously 10 words in the first paragraph that I mispronounced.
Who just say wrote this?
Ben?
Well done, Ben.
All right. To me, it's an attribute that
Great.
could be used to pick me out in a room. I see it as part of my identity. While I recognize there is a lot more to me than my hair, I'm conscious that any changes I make would be a noticeable difference to those who know me. It's something that I feel I want to change. More so as since reaching my 40s with the onset of male baldness that affects so many. I'm seeing more of it deciding to leave on its own anyway. My drive to change is based on making life easier. Dealing with long hair
Right.
takes time. Working out what bits to trim, dealing with stragglers, cleaning out the plug hole. I don't know what that means. I want
Drain.
To,
In the drain.
that thing. I want to be done with those things. On the flip side, I'm really conscious of how others will react around me. This is what has stopped me from making the cut. I guess I'm wondering where I get the bravery to make this change. Even writing this down has helped me put some context to my dilemma. I'm sure hearing you guys, particularly Jacob, talk about it may help move me further. Proud to be sitting in the TheraProducers boardroom and sending kindest regards, Ben.
Ben, if you want to cut your hair, man, cut your hair.
But it is a big changeover whenever you've gone
No.
through all the work to grow it out.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Man.
Your hair grows. It's what it does.
Dude, if I wanted to cut my hair
Cut it.
to whatever length versus you wanting to cut to that same length,
Yeah.
it's self-evidently a bigger decision for you. Like, doesn't it become an identity thing to kind of have like the long hair? It becomes a big part of your look.
Sure.
Yeah, because there's
But,
a lot
like-
you can do with that you can't do if you cut it all off.
But here's the thing. You got to be confident and comfortable in the rest of your identity.
Okay.
Everything is part of your identity.
Yeah.
Like everything about you is part of your identity. That changes.
Yeah.
Everything, like, you don't wear the same clothes every day.
Right.
Like-
Well,
like today,
do, but-
those clothes are part of your identity. Tomorrow, they won't
yesterday-
be.
Well, they will be.
Well, for you.
yeah.
Ben, for you, the clothes you're wearing today are part of your identity. Tomorrow, they won't be.
I really thought you were going to come out on the other side on this one. I
No.
thought you were going to like embrace the struggle of like, yeah, you've taken so much time.
I'll tell you,
it's
like
a commitment.
about 2 years ago, my hair started falling out, and then it just kind of stopped. Like
Okay.
I think it was just a stress thing. I say 2 years ago because everything feels like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably like 5 years
Yeah.
ago. I don't know. But several years ago, pre-COVID, that's the other thing. COVID just throws it all off.
Yeah, there's the before times, and that's it.
So pre-COVID, at some point, my hair started falling out.
Okay.
And I was all set to just be like, and it started falling out like on the sides and,
Uh-huh.
and like in not in that traditional just kind of like hairline going back from the front
Okay.
with the male pattern baldness, and it wasn't falling out in the middle,
Okay.
so I wasn't forming like a bald spot.
Okay.
Just my hairline was starting to recede,
Okay.
and I was like, you know what I'm gonna fucking do? I'm gonna shave my head down into a giant mohawk. I'm
Oh,
gonna use this
wow.
all because I've got, for people who don't know me and for people who don't know pictures
This-
of me,
yeah, that would
I have
help.
long hair.
Yeah.
My hair is past my shoulder. I mean, I say long. It's past my shoulders by, I don't know, a couple inches.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna shave it down into a full on mohawk and go like crazy high spiky mohawk.
Like Liberty spikes.
Yeah, like 10, 12 inches over my head.
Damn.
And I'm gonna try and rock that and see how long that is funny to me.
That would have been bold.
It goes along with that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, oh, I'll still wear hats and I'll just have like a crazy like wavy
Yeah, the
mohawk
flop.
that
Yeah.
like just is like on the side of my head
Yeah,
some
the
days.
dorsal
and, like,
fin
whatever.
flop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my hair stopped falling out and grew back. And I
Okay.
guess whatever was stressing me out at the time
Yeah.
stopped. It's probably that divorce that I went through.
Yeah. Or that whenever you live next to that power plant.
That's
I'm
it.
sure that after moving it was better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like whatever it was. But I say from that thought, don't sweat it.
Okay.
Just cut it off. If you want to cut it off,
It's a big decision, man.
what I used to do was I would let my hair grow because a big reason that my hair is long is because it grows super fast.
Okay.
And what I am is lazy. I
yeah.
am very lazy when it comes to taking care of my hair.
Okay.
It is long. It's straight on its own. It looks fine.
Yeah.
When I'm not washing it,
Sure.
I can put a hat on. I can put it in a ponytail, whatever. If it meant that I could still get a haircut as often as I currently get a haircut,
Yeah.
which is a couple of times a year, and I could have short hair.
You're not making any barbers wealthy.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
No. Like if I wanted to have a haircut like Nick's hair length or
Yeah.
yours, Jim,
Yeah.
that would mean that I have to go get my hair cut like once every couple of weeks.
Yep.
Oh wow.
And I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm just not.
So your long hair presently is not a big. Okay, if I'm looking at the pie graph, there's a percentage of it that's a style choice.
Sure.
But then the bigger percentage of it, the dominant color is going to be functionally. I'm just fine with this, and I'm not really trying to work harder at it.
That's probably more of an oversimplification than the truth really is, but it's somewhere between those two.
Okay, all right. See, but I'm saying for Ben, that's a big decision. Like if you or I, Nick, decide, yeah, we're just gonna go, low for the summer and get it nice and tight. Okay, fine. We're not giving up a lot of growth to do that. If you have a ponytail like Ben,
let's
that's
change
a big
this.
deal.
Let's change the topic a little bit. Let's say someone wanted to get a tattoo.
Okay, a tasteful tramp stamp.
Sure.
Yeah.
What
Say
would
they
you?
lost a bet or
Yeah,
something.
some preposterous thing.
Let's
Yeah.
say they lost trivia on their podcast.
Yeah.
And they were required
And
now to get
stupidly
a tattoo.
agreed to a tramp stamp.
Yeah.
In an episode that never aired.
Yeah.
Let's
Which
just
is-
imagine
Which
that.
is going to happen before the next Scoop Fest. And then Jim is going to get a tattoo during Scoop Fest.
Yes.
But let's say somebody came to you and was like, oh, I'm thinking about getting a tattoo.
Uh-huh.
Would you dissuade them more or less than you are dissuading Ben from cutting his hair?
Good point. I probably wouldn't. Yeah, and you're right. And the hair is much more temporary than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So
That's a good point.
here's where I see the difference.
Mhm.
Why I think you see it one way, Jim,
Okay.
and why Jacob sees it another way.
Yeah.
And it has something to do with the point that Jacob made earlier, which is how you view your identity.
Yeah.
Okay? Because you look at this as like when you look at Jacob, you picture Jacob.
Yeah.
So that's part of his identity.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that separates him.
Yeah, it is. Like
But if
what
he
Ben
doesn't-
said, in the crowd,
Right, yeah,
Jacob
yeah,
stands out. I know
Yeah.
where Jacob is. Like,
Yeah.
he's that guy,
Right.
But if Jacob doesn't see himself that way, or if Ben
Right.
doesn't see himself that way, it's like your identity is just like it's something else.
But that's
and
what
like
Ben
this is
said.
where I look
Ben,
at
I
now.
would
So-
suggest getting the haircut and wallowing in the pleasure of that
Being
identity
novel.
shift.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Exactly.
Like,
That's
a
kinda-
full makeover.
I would say
get-
like
get a new
fucking
wardrobe.
enjoy it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really embrace it.
Yeah. Like you have an opportunity here, Ben.
That is true.
to just do something fun and crazy
Yeah.
and different and just change it up.
Especially with such a big change, you
Yeah.
can get away with anything.
Yep.
Like your Liberty Spikes idea.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to notice.
Yep.
And you're allowed to go as big as you want
Like you want to go
immediately
you
and
want
then
to go
tone
dreads?
it down later.
You want to
Yeah.
go dreads?
You could just
dreads.
go for it. Like
Yeah.
something
Do whatever you
huge.
want.
That's pretty cool.
Because like so for me, my look, I cannot keep a look consistent
Mhm.
for a long period of time. I always have to change something.
Your hair? Or
Yeah,
you mean your
I-
clothes?
No, my hair.
Oh,
my
okay.
hair, my facial hair. I'm clean shaven
Yeah,
now.
I noticed that. I
I've
like
been
you
doing
better with
that-
the beard.
Yeah.
I've always liked it. But I also like have a weird like fetish for your beard.
And this
Like-
is also this is another
like every
thing.
time I look at you, I'm like, God, if I could just be him for a day.
This is another thing. Like you identify us, Jim.
Yeah,
by
with hair.
by
Yeah.
like these traits.
Mostly just things I can't have.
I'm
That's
currently
pretty much
looking
it.
at Nick, and
Yeah.
I can't picture Nick with a beard.
Yeah. What?
I cannot. I know that he had a beard a few weeks ago,
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
and I'm like, I don't really
How do
remember
you-
what he looked like with a beard now.
Are you kidding?
No.
That's the only way I want to know him.
That's fine.
No, I do. I yeah. When I first shaved,
Let me show you this drawing on the
I
back
look
of my
like a
notebook.
hairless
That's
cat
what he looks like
at first.
when you first shave it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like my hairstyle, I've changed. In the time that we've had this podcast, I've had 4 different hairstyles.
Oh. Okay.
I've gone from a really deep. I had a really bushy beard at one point.
Yes.
I
yeah.
trimmed that back.
Yes.
I had a mustache during COVID.
Oh, that one was glorious.
I-
Also,
you know,
that
like,
is everybody's favorite emoji on our Discord.
No, I like
yeah,
that.
Manu put that up, and
I know.
it's synonymous with something sexy is happening. And that's the joke. Is like then people post
it's sexy
cock-headed
time. Yeah.
Nick with
a mustache.
2-finger mustache under his nose.
Yeah. But for me, it's just I don't see like my identity isn't connected to that. It's just like this is what I look like right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you like the switching up.
Yeah, and so I'll grow my hair.
I
out a
will
little
say
bit longer,
between the
I'll
three of
grow a
us, you have
beard,
made the
like,
most
okay.
bold changes. I mean, I grew a mustache and dealt with it, but like my beard's always been the same. Like my hairdo's always been the same. He's always had his stuff. He'll trim his mustache back. That is true. You have made the biggest changes over 5 years. That is true. So, and it doesn't mess with you to do that. Like you look forward to a fresh look.
Yes. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's our advice here to Ben?
I think I think ultimately I think what we would look at is we'd look at the identity piece.
Okay.
Ben, you're Ben.
Yeah.
You're gonna be Ben. With long hair, with a mohawk, with dreads, with a bald head. You're still gonna be Ben. It's not your identity. That's just the way you look currently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And your look can change, but your identity doesn't have to.
Also, the more that hair starts to thin, the more it looks like you're trying to hold on to that. And don't be that guy, Ben.
Yeah, don't be
that guy.
Don't be,
Like once it starts to go, just roll with it.
But this is a good point though too, because things will happen and our look will change outside of our control.
Yeah.
So if our identity is based off of the way that we look, then we're heading towards an identity crisis when things start to change.
Like I'll tell you, SJ pulled up a picture of us the other day. My wife pulled up a picture of us the other day. I had from not that many years ago, but I mean a few years back, and I had virtually no gray hair on my head, and my beard was just brown and red.
You had red hair.
It was reddish.
Okay.
Yeah. Like everything that is gray now, or not in my beard, but in my hair, everything that's gray now used to be kind of like a dark red.
Oh wow, interesting.
So I think when you embrace that like this is not your identity, this is just the way that you look. Then when your look starts
That
to change,
shit's changing.
Yeah, when it starts to change, you can roll with it. You can accept it. Like I'm starting to get like some gray hair. Laura pointed it out today. Like
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of gray right on
I
the
think
side
you're
of my
going to end
head.
up with like a Mitt Romney gray.
Probably.
I think you will.
And when I do,
Yeah.
then I'm going to be like, okay.
And it'll just be one more
Now I
fucking
look
thing I'm
like Mitt
jealous
Romney.
about.
Yeah.
It's going to be
And
one more thing.
And then he's going to be
Then I'm
Utah
rolling
senator.
I'm just going to sit there
Yeah.
staring at his temples and being like, fuck this guy so hard. I'm so sick of this shit. No, I think you're both downplaying, in my humble opinion, the amount of attachment we do have to our appearance.
Yeah,
I
we're
mean,
not saying that you don't have it.
Yeah, I think all humans go through like oh, geez, look in the mirror, you see yourself aging. It is disheartening. It's not just disheartening, it's strange.
Yes.
Like, because you walk around all day and you have this, like, I think of the Matrix, like you have residual self-image. Like you have this picture of yourself. And maybe it's because I don't look at myself a lot. And then occasionally I'll stumble across a camera or mirror and I go, ugh! And like, I'm shocked. And I'm like, oh, I thought I was youthful and full of joy. And like, who is this crypt keeper?
I'm not saying that at all. I mean,
struggle with that.
in my mind, I still look like I'm 25.
Right, yeah.
And that's just not true.
Yeah. And so I do think that there's an identity shift, especially whenever like the long hair thing, when you have a thing that is notable about you. That's kind of nice in my opinion because like it's distracting. Like I used to have a lip ring in my early 20s, like very early. I got rid of it as soon as I became a dad. I was like 24. I was carrying around a baby. I was like, I don't think I should have it. Yeah, Jim has to re-pierce the lip
ring back.
It's still there. I still have the hole. But like I remember,
You'd have to re-pierce it now though, right?
I would, yeah. But I still have the divot, so
Pretty
I know
good
where to
bet.
put it. Yeah, I don't know
Pretty
what that
good
would
bet.
do. That would be a good bet. So I don't know. Or I remember when
Why
I
not
got the
just
piercing.
do a tongue stud? If you're gonna do that?
That would be great. Or the snake tongue. Do the split.
Split it? Man, you just took a fucking leap.
That's how I got to the bumper stickers on my car shit. This is how bad it goes. This is being
Lip
restrained.
ring to split tongue is a jump.
Go
dude.
grande or go casa. But whenever I had a lip ring, I remember one of the things that I first noticed about it was this became the very first thing people would notice about me just because it was conspicuous and it was obvious. And I've always been boring vanilla ass Jim. But back in my early 20s, people would mistake me for being much cooler than I actually was because of this one symbol, right? And so, like, I would interact with people, and I would notice I was
Didn't that
getting
talk
all
to
this
him?
credit for this one thing, or was the thing they would remember about me. When they would describe me to other people, like, oh, you've met Jim, right? Oh, who's Jim? Oh, the dude with the lip ring over there? Oh, yeah, that guy. And, like, that stood out about me, and it became a thing that I started
I
knowing
get
as an
that.
identity piece.
Yeah.
And I remember it was hard for me to get rid of it because I was like, oh, now I just feel like I don't stand out from every other guy my age and race, like it just was the same.
Well, I started getting treated a lot differently when I had that teardrop tattoo.
Yeah.
That was
I noticed you
life.
stopped getting tickets. Like,
Yeah.
you'd get pulled over and people were like, never mind, you're fine.
I think it was that you put it over your nipple.
Yeah.
It would have made more sense if it was under the nipple.
Under the
but you
nipple
went
probably just
over
would
the
have made
nipple.
more sense. Yeah, it was just odd. The gravity of this thing did not
The
work.
placement didn't make sense. I get that.
So, Ben, I empathize with you. I think that cutting your hair is a significant thing, but I agree with the guys that we don't want to over imbue it with energy, right? And also, I think you're both right that there's a freshness, and if you have to embrace
think
change
have fun
anyway,
with it.
go for it.
Have a good time.
I say
You
berate
get
it.
you get to change something.
Cornrows.
You get to do something stupid and silly and fun and try it.
Especially when you have long hair, you can turn it into anything.
Yeah,
You can really shop for like any look and then just cut down to that like style.
absolutely.
And go for it. So my advice to you, last thought from Jim, perm.
No.
Yeah, go full perm. Trim it accordingly and then straight up Mr. Brady perm.
I have a better idea for you, Ben.
All right. It's going to be
2
tough
words.
to top that.
Shaggy mullet.
Ooh.
The mullet's coming back.
Shaggy mullet.
Oh, yeah. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm going to stand by my answer, but I am completely happy with Jacob's answer.
Yeah.
So if you go mullet,
Because the
that's
best part about
fantastic.
mullet, because you can do different kinds of mullet. You can do like the super short in the front and the long in the back. That's not what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. I'm saying it's all like Beatle shaggy. It's just
Yeah.
longer in the back than in the
Oh,
front.
Okay, yeah, full shag.
Yeah,
And then
full
just
shag with a mullet.
give it the drapes in the back.
Yep.
Let it go over your neck.
And the best part of that,
Oh,
Ben,
that's cool.
is that gives you a lot of room to then just cut more off,
Yeah,
and you can go more conservative. You can
That's
always
right.
go more conservative.
that's right. You can always take more away. You just
Yeah.
can't put it back.
Yeah. Well, it takes longer to put it back.
It does. Yeah. All right. What
But yeah,
are you going to
I go shaggy mullet if I were you, Ben.
You say
I
bick
do
it?
that. I like the mullet, but if you're gonna do a mullet, double down mustache with it.
Oh, yeah. I thought that-
Obviously, you're gonna
Yeah.
go. You're gonna go.
Applied.
No, Ben's
Kind of-
gonna go Fu Manchu.
Yeah.
Ben's gonna go full
Yeah.
Fu Manchu mustache.
We assumed that Ben had
Yes.
common sense.
that is
Yeah.
a given.
Don't write into the show if you don't have that much. I mean, come on. We're not here to babysit you, Ben.
All
Great
right.
question, man. Send us more questions about men's fashion. I feel like we're qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, let's take this show in a new direction. This mental health stuff's boring as shit.
We need a side podcast.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Our second show of the week will start being men's fashion.
We can call it sideburns.
Oh! We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're talking about dating a widow with children. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, Dr. Ben, Don, Richard, Macy, Lord, Colin Stewart, Sammy, Scoop, Polygon, Take It EV Podcast, and Paris.
Yeah.
And if you'd like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. We got some questions that were sent in to us
Yeah.
by Ben Stanley.
All right.
Are these the
So-
Lego ones?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Oh, great.
Lego. The name Lego is created from a Danish phrase meaning what? A. Play well. B. Build well. C. Play more. Or D. Build more.
And
Avocado tree.
Patreon.com/therapy. Become
I
a
don't
therapist.
know.
Make up his own avocados.
I don't know. I'm going A. Final answer. Locked in.
Ooh, you
Then
know
I'll
what?
go B.
I'll go A as well.
All
I
right.
feel strong about A.
You stealing my answer, huh?
Yeah, just
All right.
agreeing with good ideas, I think. That's how it is.
Answer, it is A.
I'll be
Oh!
goddamn.
The answer, the Danish is Leggot.
Ah,
Play well.
okay.
There you go.
Well,
Okay.
it probably helps that Jacob and I have been taking those Danish lessons.
Yeah.
So, which I think our professor's going to be quite pleased. I think that he'll
I
be
mean, I can cook a Danish now.
Yes. Yeah, which I think he would prefer that you did not. That gentleman was screaming last time. And
Tough shit.
yeah, that's part of the class. Dating a widow with children from University Jeff.
What kind of hairstyle does she have?
That's the most important question. Also, Jeff is a therapy producer. Hooray!
Hey, thank
We're
you,
in
Jeff.
Producer episode. Hey, Pod Therapy friends. I just wanted to update you on my previous letter. Apparently, I just needed to keep writing you about what is going on in my life and what I'm worried about, because when I do, the universe seems to deliver what I need, since it has now happened twice. Huh.
That's not the universe. That's us.
Yeah. Feel free to ignore most of my previous letters.
Done.
Okay, yep, we already did that because my romantic life is better. I've met a wonderful woman, and to stick to my previous letter theme of the Flintstones, let's call my new love interest Pebbles. Also,
Oh, come on.
You picked the little girl?
You're dating a child?
Nah, I feel like we could have done better, Jeff. You got
a world of names for the
Yeah.
Flintstones, and you went with the kid?
He burned through Wilma and Betty already, and I appreciate trying to stick to canon and go with Pebbles, but yeah, Halle Berry was in the movie, and I'd go with her, man. We would have been fine with it. So
We'll call her Rosie O'Donnell.
let's just go with that. Yeah, I'm changing Pebbles to Rosie. Editorial decision.
No, we're calling her Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Refer to her as Rosie O'Donnell.
Correction affirmed. She is a wonderful woman who makes me genuinely happy nearly every time I'm with her. I'm definitely in the honeymoon phase of the relationship. Rosie O'Donnell has been through... We're going to start mad-libbing this shit. We should do that.
I already
We
like
just-
this better.
A list of names and places that we
Yep.
just substitute.
All right. The next verb is jumping. right.
Rosie O'Donnell has been through so much heartbreak and trauma, and I'm hoping to get a bit of advice to ensure I am being a supportive partner. Rosie O'Donnell has 3 kids, a 4-year-old and a 2 5-month-old twins.
Oh, wow.
These kids are from her last husband, who unfortunately passed from a very aggressive cancer, while she was pregnant with the twins.
Yikes.
Jeez, that's rough.
Ugh.
She was right there with him in hospice when he literally died in front of her. Dating a widow has proved to be an emotional roller coaster from time to time. Here are a couple of examples. Everything would be fine one moment, and the next, she could break down crying because I made her son laugh. We could be snuggling up with a funny show, and she would be triggered into a PTSD flashback of hearing her husband's heartbeat stopping. She would be comfortable with us dating one day, and the next be unsure on dating entirely the next day. I can understand where this is coming from, but it doesn't make it hurt any less. She's thankfully going to therapy and working through her traumas, and she is part of a widow support group where she's able to connect with other widows and share their experiences and get additional support. Her kids are so wonderful. I never thought I would someday have kids, and honestly didn't want them until now. I want the kids to know who their father is, though, and it saddens me to think that the twins will never know another other than me as their dad, or her 4-year-old will not remember their father as well. Here are my questions and some of my assumptions on how I can best support her. Couples therapy is probably a good idea for me and her, as this could help me learn how to work with her triggers, avoid them, or learn what they are. Are there support groups out there for those who are dating or married to widows? What fatherly advice would you give to me? It's pretty scary when I think about the possibility from going to having no children to 3. Thanks again for everything you guys do, University Jeff.
All right. Well, Jacob and I are obviously going to take the fathering questions.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll take the dating the widow.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll take the Rosie O'Donnell. It feels like a better... I'm strong on my Rosie O'Donnell knowledge.
By the way, Perry Masonry, Bobby Darren, Stoney Curtis, Pearl Slaghoople, let's see, Joe Rockhead, Baby Puss, Bird.
Oh, these are all Flintstones.
Hoppy,
Yeah,
the Great
yeah.
Gazoo, Mr.
Ooh,
Slate.
The Great Kazoo would have been a solid
These
one.
are all better names than Pebbles.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just going to start there.
Yeah.
Although
Can definitely
that
make
was
some
the
improvement there.
70s, so how old is Pebbles now? Come on. Let's be fair. All right. Anyway,
Also, future writers, if you want us to just pick the name of somebody, just indicate that in your email.
Yeah. We will be
Just
happy.
be like, you just put like in parentheses, my girlfriend, and just put in parentheses Nick picks name, or Jacob picks name, or Jim picks name. Just put that in there.
That's completely fine.
Guys pick name, whatever you want to do. Just put that in there.
acceptable.
We will assign the name as we have done with Rosie O'Donnell today.
That's right. I love it.
So my first thought with this is you kind of, I mean, the good thing is it sounds like you kind of know what you're signing up for.
Yeah.
Your expectations seem to be pretty realistic. So I think that's just something to kind of keep in mind, that you understand already that this is going to be challenging. So you kind of have to weigh out those options. So it's not something that you can really kind of at some later point be like, oh, well, I didn't know it was going to be, I didn't know it was going to be this tough. It's like, well, it seems like your expectations are pretty in line. No, I would say one piece of advice that I'd have, because there's going to be a lot of things that your natural reaction is going to be to feel hurt, or to feel like it was something against you, or something like that it's something personal about you, because it is personal to you.
It feels because you're feeling it, right?
Yeah. However,
it's part of your personal life,
right?
Yeah.
However, I think one thing to kind of remind yourself is in those moments that in that moment it's probably not about you, right? It's this person lost somebody and they're still dealing with that. And you are kind of running into you're into this situation as they're still learning kind of what is their new normal, and they're still adjusting to that. And so there's going to be things, like you said, that something comes up and it's going to remind her of her former spouse, and it may feel painful to you in that moment, but it's not about you in that moment. It's about her in that moment, and kind of how she's dealing with that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of pieces to this. One book that I had a patient in the last few years that was in a very similar situation. He was the gentleman, and he married a woman who was a widow, and this widow had children, as did the patient in this case, and they tried to create a blended family. And what was really tricky about that is I think he moved toward marriage pretty rapidly, kind of trying to salve the wound and try to be the father to her kids.
Okay.
And it was noble in a sense. Like, here's a guy saying, look, I'm not here to screw around. I'm not here to play games. I think you need to get back to stability. I'm going to help form a family with you. Let's raise these kids. And like, great. And like, that was very fatherly of him. It was admirable. But as he was rushing to do that, I think what we learned was that she wasn't ready, and she thought she was. But part of this process is you can't trust anything that you think or feel during this time. It is so unique. And what happened is that in this particular case, this is anecdotal, Jeff, be careful not to take an example as gospel here. But in this case, it became a problem. It got unraveled. Wife started going through lots of grief, lots of mourning. That turned into anger and pushing away her new husband, sabotaging the relationship, really taking it to a place where she was pushing him away and running away. And he's trying to hold her close and keep the relationship going. They went to couples therapy. She went to individual therapy. He was seeing me. And in all of this effort, he was trying so hard to hold it together, but he couldn't bring the accountability that you usually have in a relationship where it's like, hey, you're treating me really poorly. I'm stepping back. Because if he stepped back, it triggered her even worse, because here's a woman that's been through something horrific. Yeah. And so she started having borderline qualities where she was like, I love you, get away from me. Like desperately clinging to him one moment in a passion and ferocity that's almost unmatched in any other relationship he'd ever had, but then pushing him away violently the next. And then he couldn't right size his behaviors to try to clarify boundaries in the relationship and have the normal push and pull. So in that particular case, that story didn't end well. One book, though, that I did recommend to him, and I remember him reading, is by Denise Medany, Medany. The title is One Heart Too Many, Facing the Challenges of Loving a Widower. Now, the book is written from the perspective of, it's written to a woman who is marrying a man whose wife has died. But it says in the book, like, hey, we're picking a gender here, but this can cross apply because
Right.
there's going to be some things that are unique, but many things that are not. And there's some great questions that come up in the book, like that feeling of, did you love the other person more, and like, am I jealous of that other person? What do I do with that emotion? How do I love these kids as if they're my own while respecting, that they're not? Feeling like you are a plan B, and just constantly that curiosity of like, well, who are we? What are we? Things, and even practical questions like, at what point do we take down the old photos? Or at what point is this my family and not his? And also another thing that often happens is getting compared. Because this other person's grieving, and part of grieving is talking openly about the person that you miss and their absence in your life. Well, a lot of times your spouse or your significant other is like your first line therapist. So that's the person you're going to open up to about this. And it's also ironically not the person you should be opening up to about this. Even if you have a therapist, it gets really muddy really
Well,
fast.
and that's something that I think is very common for any long-term relationship that ends suddenly.
Yeah.
Is, starting the new relationship is like, because that's how it was for me when I got divorced. Like,
Right.
all of my history was with one person.
Right.
And then now, so I'm meeting new people, I'm telling them about me. Well, a lot of my stories have this other person
in it,
attached.
Right.
And so it's like, you kind of have to, it makes it really complicated.
Right.
Especially in this particular situation where it's like, it didn't end because of a divorce. I mean,
Right.
for
were
all intents
taken.
and purposes,
Yeah.
they would still be together, know,
Right.
and that makes it way more complicated.
You're not just grieving, or the woman in this case, Jeff, or Rosie O'Donnell, she's not just grieving the loss of a person she loved. She's grieving the loss of a life she didn't get to live.
Yeah.
And so every new memory, every trip to the beach, every first step for the 5-month-old, every fresh idea that happens, teaching a kid to read, getting them new clothes, putting on their baby shoes. These are all aspects of a life she didn't get to have.
When she thought she was going to share the parts of that life
with her
late husband.
Yeah.
She thought they were going to do it. That was her plan.
Right.
Her plan was to share all of these moments with her late husband.
That plan's
and
gone.
now she doesn't get to do that anymore. So I mean, Jim's right. She is mourning that.
Yeah.
I would say I would challenge you here to look at what your role in this relationship is a little bit differently than I think you're looking at. I think you're looking at it very nicely. I really do, because you are looking at it and you're saying, like, these are the issues that are here.
Right.
I accept these issues. Here's the thing. When you started dating Rosie O'Donnell, which just makes me smile every time I say it.
We're going to hold.
I like it every time.
It's consistency now. Swing through.
When you started dating Rosie O'Donnell, I believe that you went into this saying, like, I want to have this relationship. I want to have this romantic relationship. And it sounds like you went into it with eyes open, knowing what she was going to be going through.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing that you signed up for that you may not have realized at the time.
Right.
And that is, you signed up to share in this grief.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point.
You are a part of this now.
Yeah.
And now you can remove yourself from this and everything else, and it won't be nearly as catastrophic, obviously, as when Rosie lost her late husband.
Right.
But you are a part of this for as long as you choose to be a part of this. And she chooses as well, obviously. So, I mean, I would go at it from that point of view. I would go at it from, like, we have an issue here. We have this thing to grieve for, because you care about this woman. You care about her children, it sounds like, which is admirable. So you are a part of this. This is partially your grief now as well, because it is harming the people that you have chosen to care for.
Yes.
And I think going through a therapist, going through a family therapist, with this might be a really nice way to start finding ways to deal with that grief.
I'm glad that that's happening.
But I don't think that you should try to expel yourself from their grief.
Right. Yeah.
I think that you need to embrace. You just need to embrace the fact that you are a part of this.
Right.
And that's fine. You're not the same part that they are. You're not doing the same thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
But you are a part.
Yeah. I think that that's a really good, piece of advice. And coming back to this idea of the kids, Jeff. So, all right, look, man, I'm not really good at math. I'm almost as good at math as I am geography. But if I could kind of do the math here, it looks like late husband passed away less than a year ago, real close to that. And you guys are already dating. Babies are 5 months old.
No.
And late husband
I
passed.
misread that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought
The twins are 5 months old,
Yeah.
and
I
late
s- I
husband
thought-
passed during the pregnancy.
Yeah, no. I
So
thought
if we assume
25
a
months.
very conservative 2 months into the pregnancy, husband passes, you've got 7 months left of gestation plus 5. We're at about a year. And they've been dating for a minute. So this is all relatively soonish. Does that mean you shouldn't be together? No. But Jeff, I like you. You've been with us for a long time. So as your friend, I'm going to come alongside you and say, buddy, it's probably going to get bumpy. I expect it to be bumpy. You're already in a new relationship within 1 year. I don't think this person is going to have smooth sailing. I think they're going to go through some zigs and some zags. I want you to be prepared for that. That doesn't mean quit. That doesn't mean run away. It just means you're going to be in for a non-traditional relationship, and that includes a non-traditional, non-linear emotional trajectory. And another additional layer to that is you're going to bond to these kids. You already are. You're thinking about their future. You find yourself stepping into this father chair that's left empty at this table, and you're being welcomed into it, and you're taking that seat and realizing these 3 little people just need adults. And so like this beautiful paternal spirit is erupting in you where you just see them and you pity them and you just want to protect them and guide them. And that's a beautiful thing, Jeff. I'm so glad that that's cultivating inside of you. But I also worry for you, my friend, because she reserves the right to snatch these 3 kids in a moment of just malaise or pain or panic and pull them away from you. And she may feel down the road that she needs to do that because something's inside of her saying, no, this is all too soon. These aren't his kids, something like that. So I'm trying to just tell you to guard your heart. I want you to be kind to these kids. But if you're not already doing your own therapeutic work, Jeff, I want you to be, because I really believe that you're going to bond to these kids. And again, this is going to be some turbulence, I expect, soonish rather than laterish. And as that happens, it's scary whenever you've fallen in love with children that you don't own, that you can't keep under any circumstances. When you feel like you've stepped up to that fatherly role, there's no other person competing for that role. And then at any point the kids can be taken away from you. It's a very scary thing to love people that much and to allow those fatherly sensibilities to grow. I'm not saying hold back, but I'm saying we have to kind of keep a part of you safe. One piece of advice I would give you on a practical level for the relationship: don't rush into big commitments. You're going to feel very tempted to be like, hey, you got 5-month-old babies. We're moving in together. I'm going to be here to help you. Let's start proposing. Let's getting a ring. Let's really prove to this woman. Let's give her the gift of stability.
Let's talk adoption.
Yeah, we're going to start talking big ideas. I want you to feel safe. I want you to feel like a man stepped up. Those are beautiful sensibilities, Jeff, and any man would feel that same way of like, I'm going to be a hero, and we're going to do this, and I'm in love with this woman. I'm in love with these kids. I'm ready for this. And I would tell you, I want you to go slow, not to protect yourself, but to protect her and the kids.
Well, because her
She's
allegiance,
not going to be ready for this.
all of her allegiance is to those children.
That's it. And you're not ready for it.
You aren't secondary on this. You are fifthondary.
Yeah, it's not even close.
You are down the list.
You've got the kindest
as it
and
should be.
most stabilizing thing you can do is to join the family as the boyfriend, as the steady, as a rock, kind-spirited, consistent, there for you, other adult, as much as you feel like trusting me with your kids, boyfriend figure. But I would caution you to pump the brakes on signing up for the whole package, not to be a dick about it, but because I think she's going to move around, and I don't want you guys welded together because I think we're going to rip things. Whereas if I could have just had you guys tethered with a chain, there's some breathing room here where you could follow close, but also give her some room when she needs it. Mm-hmm. She'll need it.
And I don't think Jeff is necessarily doing this, but I think a lot. No, not that. I wasn't getting to my point. That I think
he's getting a haircut.
A lot of guys in this particular situation take on that. Like they want to be, they're kind of the savior, right? They take on that savior role.
Right.
And they're like, oh, somebody's in danger. I can be this. I can do this for this family. And thinking like, okay, well, I can pull them out of this water and I can pull them up onto the boat.
I'll do it.
When in reality, they really need to stay in the water a little bit.
Right.
And they need to find a way to pull themselves into that boat.
Right.
And if you want to stay in the boat and coach them and provide assistance and whatever you can do, that's great. But you can't jump in the water and grab them and pull them to the shore.
No.
Because they're not ready yet.
No.
And that's that could be very dangerous.
And I want to make sure that, because if Nick is not being clear there, if you see the children drowning in the water, get those kids out of the water.
Thank you.
If there's literal water that they're drowning in, and you have a boat,
they don't need to stay in that water.
Get the kids in the boat.
You should pull them out.
Yeah. I believe Nick is referring to metaphorical water.
Yeah.
Jacob, I wish you would stop trying to talk for me.
Yeah. You know what? Don't put your words in my mouth. I know what I said.
Nick Tangeman says drown those kids.
You learn to swim
or
you
don't
sink.
drown them, but you don't leave it up to them.
Yeah, they just need to be waterlogged until they're good and ready to go.
I'm just saying that's how I learned how to swim.
Okay. Iowa justice.
Jeff didn't pull you out of the water.
That's right. But hey, man, don't let us. We're definitely not trying to send you the signal of like, oh, run away. But hey, we're trying to right size this for you. And in my clinical experience, I'm telling you, I tend to notice that there's turbulence. So I don't want you guys fused together because that would break. I don't want to shatter the bond. I want it loose enough that it can move with the waves here. Where she needs to drift away, she can, but then you're still tethered enough to be a helper. I want you in a strong boyfriend role. And I still want some independence in your homes. If you say, look, I want to chip in on your finances, it's a choice I'm making because I care and I want to do that. Be a hero, go for it, buddy. Donate that money, never expect anything back, just be a good citizen. But be really careful before we do things like all move in together or take big commitment steps. Nick's right. You're going to be tempted toward that savior status. I'm not just trying to protect you. I've seen this recipe. It's very combustible. And I just want to give you some space to let it all kind of air out.
If Rosie wants to have her own Patreon account and support this show,
yes,
you got to let her.
You got to let her support the show.
Yeah.
Rosie O'Donnell cares about therapy.
She does.
You got to let her do what she's going to do. Great question, Jeff. And glad to hear that every time you write to us, the magic universe fairies of therapy just fix your life. We like to think that that's the whole point of the show, is that you write in and just the universe conspires for your good and good things happen. 100% of those who write into the show get their wish. We're basically just
people who write in the show do not get their wish.
Jim says, we're going to take a quick break. Oh, I'm not supposed to read that part of the script. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss supporting parents through fostering a child. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, Dr. Ben Don, Richard Macy, Lord Colin Stewart, Sammy Scoop, Polygon, Take It EV Podcast, and Paris. If you would like to sponsor the show, go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up as a Patreon supporter as a Theraproducer. And our second question, thank you to...
Lego my ego, Nick.
Yes. Thank you to Ben is... On average, there are how many Lego bricks per person on the planet? Is it 40 bricks per person, 60 bricks per person, 80, or 100 bricks?
Those are some pretty tight margins, Ben. Come on, man.
Patreon.com/therapy.
Plus and minus 10 or 20 on these suckers. What does it go? 50, 60, 70, 80?
40, 60, 80, 100.
Yeah. 20
per person?
Per person on the planet.
It's got to be on the higher end.
I'll go D. I'll guess 100.
That feels about right. Per person on the planet?
I'm going to go 80.
What do we got? Like 8 billion people or something? Are we at 9 now?
No.
9 billion?
I don't know as if you need to do the math to solve this. I think you can probably just guess.
Let me just explain.
All right.
I'm going to solve.
Show your
I'm going to
work.
get this thing right. The arithmetic is 9 billion times whatever my answer is.
Okay.
So if you pick 100...
I think it's about 7.5 billion.
What is 100 times 9 billion?
I think it's about 7.5 billion people on the planet.
So that would be 700 billion pieces?
That's right.
Who picked 100?
Me.
That would be 1 brick per person.
You picked 80?
I said 80.
So it's like 6 billion and some change. I guess I better go on the low. So what do I got? 60? Is that an option?
Yeah.
You know what? What's the bottom one?
40.
I'll take 40. I'm
All
going to
right.
go low. Why not?
Answer is C, 80 bricks
All
per
right.
person.
Is that Nick?
That's me.
Congratulations.
There are also more Lego figures in existence than humans on the planet.
That feels
Oh, there are 4 sitting on my desk right now.
Interesting.
There's only 3 humans
Look
in
at
the
that.
studio, so that
That checks
We
out.
are
adds
outnumbered.
up really quick. You want to read another one? We have time.
Oh, okay.
There's a whole bunch of Lego trivia in there, isn't there?
Let's save them.
All right. Whatever.
Yeah, it's less work for me later.
Supporting my parents as they are fostering a child. From Anonymous. Hello, guys. Thank you so much for all the work and advocacy you do. I'm a 25-year-old woman. My pronouns are she and her. And my parents just adopted an 11-year-old refugee from Afghanistan. I want to be very involved in his life and I'm looking for advice concerning how to connect with him. He is very charismatic and fun-loving, but has never had rules before, so there are some challenges. There's also a language barrier, but he's learning English fast. Do you have any advice concerning how to connect with kids, especially ones from different cultures? What are some activities or questions I can initiate to build bridges? Are there warning signs I should keep an eye out for as he navigates this big transition? And how can I help? Thanks again for your work, Anonymous.
Are there warning signs you should keep an eye out for? Yes.
Warning signs. Yeah, usually
Yes.
any sign that says warning or cuidado, yeah, just go ahead and pump the brakes.
I'm just going to, 11-year-old?
Yeah,
kid?
11-year-old refugee.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are going to be problems. There are going to be warning signs, and there are going to be
blinking
problems.
lights, I
It's
think.
all those things are just going to happen.
So, Nick, you used to work in foster care.
I did. And this is really cool. This is a really exciting time for your family. So congratulations.
Yeah,
on
it's
that.
a
That's
wonderful.
really cool.
Yeah, what a neat thing
Yeah.
that your
I love
family was
this.
able to do.
Yeah.
That's
That-
beautiful.
It's so yeah, I was a foster parent, and it is challenging at times, but it's also really fun. Like, I mean, it's especially like it was fun for me because like I had teenage boys.
Yeah, I remember when you adopted those guys or fostered
I
those
fostered
guys.
them. Yeah.
And how often would you change between kids? Like how often would you like
You fostered one pair.
yeah. Well, we started with one.
Yeah,
and then
that's right.
added a
Took on
second probably 3 months later, but we had them for almost a year.
And would you say when you added the second, that was a larger or smaller life change than getting a haircut?
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Well, how long was the hair that it started?
Yeah.
I mean, pretty
right,
long.
right.
Let's say it's
Okay,
pretty
yeah,
long.
Yeah.
I'd say it's still large.
Okay,
Your
okay.
identity
Yeah,
is
it's pretty.
a little
It's
bigger.
a little bit bigger deal.
Yeah.
But and this is really cool because number one, I mean, here's one thing. One piece of advice I would have is try to learn as much as you can about them and try to build in as much of their culture into your life. Demonstrate that you're curious,
Yeah.
that you don't want them to assimilate to what you're doing, but you want to hear about their traditions.
Yeah.
And you want to see some of the stuff that they do. That's a really useful thing for foster parents to do, especially like around holidays. So like if you've got holiday traditions, what did your family do?
Right.
And let's do that. We always did this, but let's try your thing.
Teach
Right.
us.
Yeah, and so they get to feel like they're bringing something as opposed to just I'm in a new environment and I have to do what these people do now.
Right.
Right. So it's a great opportunity to learn about their culture, and have a culture that's interesting too. Because my foster kids, I didn't care about their cultures at all. It just was not interesting to me. I just did not give a shit.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Bold move. Yeah.
I mean, I always say I admire how Nick takes a stand on
Yeah,
things.
yeah. Between drowning children in the lake
Yeah.
and abandoning their culture, Tangeman's got ideas.
No, but we try to do that, like with the kids, like we would, if they had birthday traditions,
Uh-huh.
something
Oh, yeah.
like they do. Like, okay, well, then tell us, like, teach us about
Right.
you, and we want to keep as much of this as we can, because it's
Yeah.
really challenging to just all of a sudden switch, and you're just now a part of a different family.
Right. So, Ryder, obviously, this is really cool. I think it's beautiful. Congratulations to you for, looking at this situation and saying, I want to be a part of this. I want to be helpful. Two ideas that pop off the top of my head. One, I'm assuming that your new younger brother, in it's fostering, not adoption, so we should keep that in mind. Like, this is not a forever relationship. It's probably temporary. But one thing that you could really do, and I'm a big advocate for this, especially with an 11-year-old boy, I think try to be an advocate for getting him into video games. And here's kind of what I mean by that. So I'm assuming your parents are, 40s to 50s. And, their generation probably is aware of video games. That's fine. You as a 25-year-old person are probably going to have a lot more of an understanding of this stuff or friends that can coach you into video games that you could do with this 11-year-old. And here's why I think that's really helpful. One, the language barrier isn't a deal breaker. There's so much kinetic and movement-based video gaming that you can just do, and it's relationship building, especially couch co-op games. And that really gives you a chance to do something that 11-year-old boys just like they're just already into it. People spent billions of dollars creating this entertainment medium that's engaging and problem-solving and can be productive and relationship building. Why not partake in that? It's already going to appeal to him. It also allows a cultural connection to like his peers in school. As he's learning language, as he's learning things going on, one of the very first thing that middle school boys talk about, because your foster brother is my kid's age and my son. And one of the first things that boys their age talk about is like, what video games do you play? Do you play Minecraft? Do you play Roblox? Like, this is the stuff that they like. So him having that connection to just understanding the physics of those games, understanding those games in general, I think will give him some kind of cultural medium to sort of discuss with his peers, even at lunch, even as he's learning English, which, by the way, the video games will help with that too. If he gets to do online interactions or even reading or hearing the scripts of the games, it's so immersive and engaging. It really allows you to pick up language a lot faster. And especially for somebody who's, coming here from Afghanistan and really trying to pick up English, putting on a headset and talking to other boys and girls his age in a video game where they're telling you things like, hey, that object is to the left or to the right, or go over here, let's do this. And you're figuring out through trial and error can really speed up his ability to grab like actual words and run with that and become conversational. And I would encourage that, because I think as a 25-year-old, you can be an advocate for this. You can also be a good navigator for this. You can figure out like, hey, these games are inappropriate. These games are more appropriate. And you're young and cool. You could play with him. And this could be a really great bonding thing for the two of you, especially if you're looking for something that's engaging and something that two of you can do. That could be really great. So that's been a really helpful thing for kids that age. I bond with my 12-year-old just sitting side to side and playing games together, and we solve problems together, and we beat bad guys together, and it's something that we are taking on challenges, and then it gives us shared stories. We're like, oh, remember that one level that was so crazy, and like, oh, it was so crazy. So that would be one like actual practical tip that I would give you in this unique situation that I think serves multiple functions. I'm a big advocate of video games, especially in this situation.
So now one thing you said too is he's never had rules before.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
This is something that's very common with most kids in foster care.
Good point. Yeah.
So that's pretty universal. So one of the things that I think is really important when dealing with rules and establishing rules for kids that have never had rules is making rules. Not making rules. Let me rephrase that. Would be giving kids choices.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That becomes very powerful because then what you're doing is you're starting to connect the consequences to choices that I make. Okay. So, Jim's talking about playing video games. Okay. Well, it's time for bed. You got to stop playing the video games. Well, this is a new rule. I don't like this. I don't like rules. So you have to give options. You can say, so you can stop playing the video game now and we can go to bed, and then you can have the video game tomorrow morning, Saturday, when you wake up, you can have the video game at that time. Or you can not, and then you're going to lose the video game for the next 4 days.
Right.
Okay?
Or, yeah.
So it becomes a choice.
Right.
So like, here are your two options.
Right.
I realize you don't like either of them.
Right.
However, these are the two that are on the table.
Sure.
So you kind of have to pick how you're going to do this.
Yeah.
And it really kind of puts it back on them to start understanding like, okay, well, I got to make a choice here. I can comply, which ultimately is going to be in the best interest, or I can fight it and then I can risk losing more.
And I would assume that the foster care group is probably responsible for education and trying to provide resources. But Ryder, I would encourage you and your parents who are fostering this young man to, if you haven't already been issued this, I would really hope that they're issuing you this. But if they haven't, you guys need to go ahead and pick up some literature on, parenting guides, but logical consequences and natural consequence parenting. And boundary setting with kids. There's some really great texts out there. There's one that's called like Love, Learn, and Logic or something like that. I forgot what it is. But like that, those kinds of texts go along with what Nick's talking about. We like rule setting that follows a logical path. It's very clear. Now, Nick's example is a good one. I would modify that and say, 4 days would be disproportionate, so that would no longer feel logical to the kid. But saying something to that effect of like, hey, buddy, we need to go to bed now because it's late, so that way we can wake up tomorrow and do activity. Well, I don't want to go to bed now. I just started this level. I really want to, play it. Okay, and like, I don't like you imposing a bad thing on the person. I want the natural consequence to be there. So like, here's an example. Let's take the video games thing again, because this is a pretty common thing. People say, oh, my kid's overdoing it with video games. How do I install a boundary? Okay, so then you tell them, you have 6 hours of video game time today. And I'm going to go into the parental controls. I'm going to set a timer. It will restart every 24 hours, but it will work for 6 hours. Now it's up to you, kid. Budget that, right? Like, that's logical consequence. When you run out of time, the video game time is done. And then, hopefully also getting ahead of that problem by creating alternatives. Too often when, just quick little pedestal problem on the video game front, too often parents just get gripey about video games like, oh, it's just too much, I want them to do something else. And they just shut it off without providing any alternative curriculum. And like, as a former teacher, that bothers me. Like, it's a race to the bottom if you don't. They're not going to go outside and play with sticks and rocks. Like, create other curriculum, provide other things, demonstrate and role play how to play with toys. Which also, this is another parenting tip for you, writer. Sometimes when a kid has come from a traumatic area, which obviously 11 years old from Afghanistan, this child has never known an Afghanistan that was not in some form or fashion in danger. And, is a refugee for a reason. So assume that there's a lot of bad history there. This child may not know how to be a child. Sometimes refugee children do not know how to play. They're very serious. And because they've been raised in an environment that did not afford them the luxury of letting their guard down. They were told from a young age, you've got to survive. And so they were always told to keep their head on a swivel. Don't take for granted that the child knows how to play. You may have to teach them how to play with action figures, how to actually make up little voices that go along with the characters. You might have to teach them how to color or just how to do basic things. Sometimes children, especially if they're coming from traumatic environments, don't even know those things. So really don't just take it for granted, but even teaching how to play is a huge parenting step while fostering a child.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a really exciting time, so I embrace it. And the other thing too is you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay.
Yep.
Allow yourself to make some mistakes. You just learn from them. And I think that's one of the things that's great for kids to see. I can tell you this from my experience too, as a foster parent, is, when you make a mistake and you're able to say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, buddy. I screwed up on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I made the wrong call.
Yes.
In the future, this is how I want to do this.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with that.
Role playing how to divert and adapt, right? And being correctable and encouraging them to tell you why and what they're feeling. That's also huge. Now, again, there's a language barrier. This young man has a lot of growing to do. Also, you're not responsible for all that, in one dose. Remember, it's a team.
Right. And plus, with the kid being in foster care and being a refugee, I imagine there is a lot of services built in around helping this kid.
Right.
There's probably a caseworker. There's probably a therapist. There's probably a lot of PSR or BST workers that are involved in all this too.
Right.
So that's going to be helpful. The best thing you can do is just make sure you're working all together as a team.
Yep. I love
communicating.
It. Great story. That's a feel-good story.
It really is.
That's wonderful. Every once in a while, we get to end the show on like a high note. This is a nice one, guys. I like to get to that E above high C. All right, so you have a note here about some kind of quarterly merch giveaway.
Oh, yeah. It's the end of the quarter.
Whoa.
So we got...
Is this when we do the budget?
No, but we do need to do that. We gotta pick some names.
Oh, so
here.
Nick has a handful of names.
What's the merch we're giving away?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know what half the merch
All right,
is.
well, I need some help
on the
with
Discord. People post pictures of stuff that I don't even know that we sell. Like somebody's just posting pictures of the day.
Does it say Ice Cream Social on it? Because it's not ours.
That it's not ours? Oh, okay. Then I guess that wasn't ours.
They just say Bat Mom across the front.
How
That's
about
Ice Cream Social.
This one's for an Audio Guy life coaching shirt. I feel like that's a solid
yeah, it's a good
giveaway.
one. I don't
People
even
like
have one
that
of those.
I know we should get what? We haven't given you one of those?
No.
Wow,
That sounds about right.
And I haven't thought to go out and buy one.
That's fair.
We'll do a couple things. We'll do audio. I'll just send you a gift box.
There you go.
Of random
That's nice.
shit.
Grab
Some
bag.
potpourri. Something
just dropped
fell
the
out of
name.
your hand. It's over here on this side. We're trying to keep this thing
Somebody
honest.
just got excluded from the raffle.
We're keeping this honest. Yeah, this is fun watching you try to do the yoga of
Yeah.
getting all the way down. Very good
Okay.
job.
At Nick's age, trying to pick things up off the ground
Yeah,
is a
all right.
big fucking
So you can't
deal.
hear it, but Nick has stood up. He's approaching Jacob's
I
throne.
am
Jacob is
digging through some
titillatingly,
and I've got one.
He's got one name. He's pulled it from the hat that is Nick's hands.
Let's see. It is Richard Macy.
Hey, Richard Macy. That's fun. Congratulations, Richard. Thank you for supporting the show.
All right, so I will be in contact with you. Get your info, and we're just going to send you a gift box full of Audio Guy life coaching swag.
How do you
Nice.
qualify for this quarterly giveaway, Nick?
So to qualify, we do it every quarter. So this was the drawing for April,
For quarter
April,
2.
May, June.
There you go.
So to be eligible, you have to be either a Therodactyl or a Theraproducer for all 3 of those months.
Nice.
There you go.
And then you could be entered into the drawing. And
Correct.
remember, just for being a supporter, we don't even mention this very often. If you become a Patreon at every level, I think Therapod and up, you get a discount code to the store.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's usually at whatever your dollar amount is percent, right? So you get
Yeah,
5%
so it's
off,
5
10% or 20%.
Correct.
When you're a Theraproducer, you're getting the merch at cost.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting any profit
Honestly,
anymore.
there's a couple items you actually get below cost.
20% will pretty much take off everything. The margin is gone.
And let me tell you why you want to do this.
Yeah.
If you hate Nick Tangent,
Yes.
you want to do this
Yeah.
because every single name in that pile,
Yeah.
Nick has to go through. He has to do this manually.
Type it out.
Yes.
He has to go through the Patreons.
Yep.
And he has to find your name
Yep.
for month number 1 of that quarter.
Oh, that's
And
right.
then he has to look at month number 2 and see if
2.
your name is still on there at the
Yep.
same level.
Yep.
He has to do the same thing for month number 3.
Gosh, that's
and then
true.
after he's done with your name, he has to move on to the next name.
That's
Yes.
true.
So what you want to do is sign up for these levels
Under multiple names.
just to make Nick's life a little bit harder.
Yeah. Every quarter. This is the part that I absolutely hate
Yeah.
because there is a way to do it in Patreon to like filter,
Okay.
but it doesn't, for whatever reason, it doesn't work. Somehow the way that we set it up.
Oh, I know. It
'Cause
drives
you
me
can't-
crazy.
Yeah, you can't click on Theraproducers.
No, you can't do it
Because
that
you
way.
won't get an
Yeah,
accurate
no,
list.
there's
You
a whole-
actually
you'll
have
type
to-
in your own numbers
it's-
and
You
figure it
have
out.
to go through
Oh, it's so frustrating.
manually and just do it. And then Nick
Yeah.
also types all of these names out and then
Yep.
cuts them into
And then
little
cuts
slips of
them into
paper
little slips.
just so I can manually pick a name out of a hat.
It's impressive that you do so much to turn it into the art and craft on an audio show where they're going to have to take our word for it that Jacob drew it from your hands. You could have just random generated a number. It's number 13, and on the list, that's Richard Macy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would have been as legitimate as all this
I
effort.
could have.
But I like your arts and crafts, and
Yeah.
you know what? You're good at it.
Well, it felt
So-
like the most honest way to do it.
If
I mean, it
there's
is
one
pretty
thing,
good.
It is very honest. If you'd like to join these folks that get this free swag
And if you hate Nick,
and
you
hate Nick,
do.
importantly, that's the reason you want to join. Everything is at patreon.com.
You don't have to hate Nick to do it.
Yeah.
You can do it out of love of the show. You can do it because you want to support mental health. You can do it. There are a
We
lot of reasons to
prefer.
do it, but you know those reasons.
Yeah. Hating Nick.
I'm adding an additional possible reason that you might want to
That's
do
true.
this.
There's at least one of you hearing this podcast right now who's thinking, I like this show, but God, I hate that Iowa guy.
Yeah.
And this is your moment.
Yeah.
$20 right into the hat. Do that 3 months in a row. He has to go
You're
through all
making
the
his
work.
life a little bit more
a
difficult.
little bit more difficult, and you get to relish that.
You don't have to hate me to be a
Yeah.
Patreon, but
No.
it does help.
It definitely gives you that extra oomph to finish the job. But at patreon.com/therapy, we have a lot of fun goodies. We don't do a very good job promoting that. But the folks who support our show get access to a lot of stuff. They get access to a lot of our catalog of deep dives on various issues. We've gone deep dives on narcissistic personality disorder, on military mental health, and the unique intricacies of the law that prevent them from getting access to care. DSM-5TR and all that stuff. We've done deep dives on all sorts of different topics, and that's all in there. We have interviews that you've never heard on the main show. We usually produce 3 or 4 of those a year that are deep dives with all sorts of people in healthcare finance, in mental health entrepreneurship. We've talked to people who've recovered from drug and alcohol addiction, other therapists across the world. There's just tons of bonus content on there, as well as every week when we tape the show, we do an additional hour that's a little bit more of just the friendly, casual BS about our lives. And if you enjoy the show and you're like, I wish that show came out a little bit more often, throw a buck in the hat and get access to the extra catalog. And then, of
This
course,
week you can hear us talk about Nevada.
dig deep dives into Nevada. It's always a good time. And then on top of that, every week you can also comment on the episode and discuss it with all the other people that love the show, because we provide a link to our exclusive Discord where our community is extremely active and always chatting about the episodes. Nick and I are on there floating around. You can give us a hard time. You can chat with other people that love the show. And it's a very supportive community as well.
Nick and I are on there almost the exact same amount of time.
Yeah. No, Nick
I'm on there-
lurks, and
No,
that's
I-
been discovered.
I'm.
Have you?
Yes.
I'm on there a little bit more now because now there's a TheraFit.
Oh, that's
channel.
right. I knew they were going to
Ah.
attract you with that.
Yeah,
They
so then I
created
was
that
like,
just to draw you in.
All right.
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
So
So
we actually, I had some good advice in there.
I need to check out the Discord
I
and see if
posted,
anybody's posted anything that I'm interested
So
in.
I,
they
with
could
the,
probably
with
tempt you
the,
with a life coaching channel.
The 4th of July was coming up, you know.
Yeah.
So I did a huge long post in there about like perspectives about eating
Okay.
during a holiday. So
Oh,
for those
nice.
people
Ah.
who are concerned about trying to continue their eating habits and they want to eat healthy and you're going to a holiday, I just kind of shared my perspective on that.
That's
So
There you go.
awesome. There you go.
threw in
Yeah,
some
there's
little-
like
little
30
extra stuff.
channels inside the Discord of various topics.
Are there that many? I don't know. I don't
Boy, it's a lot.
I'm looking at it right now. There are a lot.
There's a lot. You can share pictures of your pets with us. You can tell us who you are. There's a member bios area. There's a selfies area. There's a fitness area. There's Jim's Neurotic Bingo Hall, which is a channel for and about Jim.
There's just a trivia area.
Yes, there's an area just to submit trivia.
Oh.
There's an area just where we have a library of resources that people submit about any topic under the sun.
Nice.
We have an area where you can shout into the void and just be upset into the world. We have an area where we reflect on achievements that we have.
Jim's
It's just
Neurotic
a really
Bingo
support.
Hall.
Yeah, and if you read the description about that, which you can't see on the app, you have to see it on the PC. It says this thread is about and for Jim. So it's a place to discuss Jim, or sometimes to hear Jim discuss Jim. That's the point. But it's very popular. So anyway, this is the first week of the month, and so it is the week that we always celebrate all of our theropods and therodactyls. And of course, their producers are recognized every show. You also hear us name drop them during our commercial breaks.
Now I'm reading the Discord.
Oh, yeah.
Lady Sammy Scoop said at one point that they need to do a fundraiser to get Jacob and Nick an iPad for their birthdays.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see that.
Just to do that.
Oh,
just to
that's
send those
so
in.
funny.
Yeah, that actually grew legs, and that terrified me when that idea got a lot of hearts. We were like, this is not a terrible one. We can run with this. Just for birthdays. Yeah. It's a good time in the Discord. But we have new Therapals. Who joined the party there, Nick?
Cody Mitchell,
Woo!
Kyle,
Woo!
Megan Stacy,
Woo!
and RP.
RP.
Thank you.
Nice. Yes, fun times. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining the Theraparty. And like I said, it's the first week, and so we're going to thank all the Therapods in one breath. Here we go. Dan Martin, Kate Keller, Scoopstronaut, Corey Owens, Linda Brandmeier, Joseph Pangrazio, Brad Kiefaver, Christine Phillips, Tracy Replogle, a.k.a. my mom, Gavin Bristow, Carrie Terhark, a.k.a. Nick's sister, Stacy Westerlin, Richard Bruin, Scoopy, Jess, second breath, Ian Whitefall, Chelsea Saracen, Craig Little, James K, James K, Kiwi Scoop, Kiwi Fruit Scoop, Katie Chiwakowski, nailed it, Don Dorr, Jim Hunter, third breath, Adam Rabiznik, Brooks Lyle, Okie Scoop, Matthew Nair, Three Scoops a Lady, Todd Canfield, David Sorensen, Felicia Butler, Shayla Bullock, Scoopatron, Lauren Izzo in the Hizzo, Stacy Coleman, I Have the Knack, Adam Petanuzzo, Mats Lenegren, Heather, fourth breath, Ulrika, Ian Sotos, Jessica Cyphers, Andrew Langmead, Charlie Quinn Starling, Natalie MC, That Josh Guy, Kerna Pillar, Dr. Scoop Little, Mama Ninja Scoop, James Dawson, Colson Morrow, Jacob Harrington, Amanda H., Grumpy Lakemead Park Ranger, fifth breath, Sarah Olo, Kiana Sam Buck, Karen McCulloch, Megan Smith, Musa, Scoopnado Bait, Kate with an I, Lee Popsicle, Chris the Scoopless, What Weekend, Michael Maddenat, Some Nobody Six Breath, Ethan Livney, Leela, Ginger G, Lovely Spark, Nippy, Alec Lancaster, Ash Cartwright, Angela, Keely Benty, Lil Bear.
Oh, and you started off so good, too.
Crushed
And thank you to all of our Therodactyls.
One breath, Nick, do it.
Nope, I'm just going to do it.
Damn.
Thank you, Ice Blue Scoop, Brian Lehman, Scott Brady, Fred Bashara Jr., Andrea Anderson, Lindsay Bashara, Robert Paulson, Slurpy Guy, Motherfucker, Frozen, Cusser, Lori Elsroth, Angie Ellis, Ryan Stewart, Scott Ashlock, Robert Ward, Chris, Sandra, McWaffle, Cy Schnonigan,
Shawnigan.
Schnonigan.
No,
Shawnigan.
Shawnigan.
Cy Shawnigan. Not a Scoop Solo Cody, Dank Butter, and Samantha Cohn.
And of course, our producers, of which there are 2 new ones. We have some new leaders in the boardroom. Welcome to Myra and Lib.
Welcome.
Nice to have you guys with us. And by the way, there's a special producer lounge inside of the Discord. We call it the boardroom.
Fancy.
It is fancy. Trust me. The server electrons in there are brighter, shinier, and made of mahogany. And the people in that boardroom enjoy the power and prestige that they have.
Smells like cigars.
I like to think it's a cigar lounge. This is cigars and shame, I think, as soon as you walk in. Distinct, pungent odor of shame. So we want to thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of our fan club, those producers. We talking about Smitty Scoop, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Kayla Lansbury, Judy Schneider, Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, King of Student Loan Debt, Dr. Ben Dawn, Crazy Banana Scoop, Mason Miller, Carolyn Albert, Leon Kassab, Kevin Chamberlain, Malia, Richard Macy, who got free swag, Cindy Ash, Newstick, Lord Colin Stewart, Dirty B, Ben Stanley, who submitted the Lego stuff and the haircut question, Sammy Scoop, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, University Jeff, good luck on that relationship thing, Jeff, Tess Miller, Take It Easy Podcast, Kodiak, Paris, Myra, and Lib.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time that we got for this week's session. Want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast. And thanks to those of you who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. Remember, Pod Therapy isn't something to keep all to yourself. Share the episode with someone who needs it. You can open the episode's description in your podcast app, and you can copy and paste that link we provided into your social media. Don't forget, you can find us at facebook.com/podtherapy, on Twitter at PodTherapyGuys, and at patreon.com/therapy. It's your part, bud.
Yep. I'm just pacing myself.
You're doing great.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick.
I'm Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye.